In this edition of Careers That Matter, I'm joined by Greg Barnsdale, the author of Do Not Ignore Your Mortality, a practical guide on how to plan your own death and get your affairs in order. Greg, welcome.
Thank you, Stuart. I appreciate it.
So you're an author. Let's just talk a little bit about what it means to be an author. How do you go about your day in, number one, writing, but then are you a self-published author? And if so, what part of your career right now is dedicated to promoting your book?
Well, basically right now I'm promoting this book full-time, Stuart. This book took a whole lot of time for me to get to the point of publishing it. But after years of working in the funeral industry and also the financial planning industry, I decided that the best way to get my message across to help a lot of people was to publish a book. And I ended up taking a hybrid approach, which is somewhat of a self-published approach.
So how did you motivate yourself day after day to write a book? Because you're writing into a vacuum. What did your day look like as a writer?
Well, it wasn't easy. I initially, as I said, I wasn't sure how to create a message that would really help a lot of people, but I was really torn with how to create a book about the subject matter that I was writing about that people would actually read. People generally don't want to think about topics surrounding death, so I was very fortunate that I came across a good mentor that was very helpful.
So did you start with an outline and then go and start to fill it in, or did you just start writing?
I went with an outline, and initially I published it all on my own using Kindle and Amazon, but it wasn't a very good book. And then I came across this masterclass writing program, and I'm so grateful that I did, because it allowed me to actually recruit over 25 beta testers from my target market to provide me feedback as I created the manuscript.
And how did that also improve the quality of your writing?
Immensely. The first book that I wrote was far different than this one that I have published.
So you get that completed, then what did you do to then start to be able to bring those pages to life so that they got printed and bound? And how much work was that, just figuring out how to put it together?
It was a lot of work. And being my first book that I've ever published before, Stuart, I was really just learning as I went. But I had leaned on my publisher a lot to get to the point of publishing it. And this masterclass program that I've been studying for the last 2 or 3 years was very helpful too.
By a publisher, what do you mean? You actually got somebody to publish this, or is it an organization that specializes in helping self-publishers?
It is. The company is Friesen Press. They're based out of Victoria, BC. And actually another author had suggested that I connect with them, and I did, and I'm so grateful that I had. But they taught me all kinds of things as well. But the marketing of the book, to answer your question in that regard, is really just up to me, because the publishing path that I chose provides me with a lot of flexibility and autonomy. But it's really up to me to promote this book.
And so your days are filled. What do you do on a day-to-day basis to be able to raise awareness about your book?
Well, I'm constantly on the computer and the phone, the computer more so, but I'm basically leveraging LinkedIn to a large degree. This message that I'm promoting about people having their final affairs in order is resonating with a lot of people. I find that I'm able to connect with people quite easily using LinkedIn. I know a fair number of people from both the funeral and the financial industry, which is helpful too. And I'm getting out and speaking to groups of people as often as I can, and just trying to elevate this message as effectively as possible.
And you're also doing interviews.
Yes.
How's that been going?
Good.
Yeah.
Actually, uh, I think I've got a fairly interesting story, and I have found that a number of podcast hosts, especially, are quite interested in hearing about it. And I've been on several podcasts and actually a couple of radio programs now, too.
So let's rewind your life. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school in Kennington, Ontario, a relatively small high school.
And when you graduated, when they go, okay, Greg, you've graduated, what was your great big hairy audacious idea for your life and your career?
Well, I initially wanted to be a helicopter pilot, but I didn't have enough physics. And my um, guidance counselor had suggested to me, after I had taken some sort of a questionnaire or something, that I should consider the funeral business. So that was my plan B, and that's what I ended up going with.
So where'd you start? Did you have to go to
I,
school
start,
first?
I did. I went to Humber College in Toronto and became a funeral director in 1985. And then I completed my internship with one of the most prestigious family-owned funeral homes in all of Canada, Turner and Porter.
Wow. So where did you start working? Like in what jurisdiction?
Yeah, in Toronto, I worked for a time in Toronto, and then I ended up moving up to Barrie, Ontario, and working up there. And actually, it was a few years after that that I actually left the funeral business and joined the financial planning industry. But I've maintained my funeral director's license ever since.
Well, that's an interesting shift. Why did you go from funerals to finance?
I wanted something more lively.
No pun intended.
I was looking for a bit of a change actually, and it resulted in me having or developing a strong interest in estate planning, because the two industries merge at death, at what I call post retirement. So I've always had an interest in estate planning and so on, and I've developed it to the point now where I'm also a certified executor advisor.
So, did you have to go back to school to take training so that you can move into the financial sector?
I basically took training through insurance companies that I had worked with, and also online training to a large degree.
So, you leave the funeral business and you enter the financial sector. Where did you get started? What was your first position in and where?
Well, my first position was actually a salesperson with a large life insurance company in Barrie, Ontario, promoting their products and services, which revolved around insurance and investments, mutual funds, that sort of thing. And then I evolved shortly after that into an independent financial advisor, where I could basically do business with all kinds of different companies and provide clients with more of a unbiased type of approach, which I felt was important.
How long did you do that for?
I believe about 12 years.
And next in your career to author, what was the next step?
Well, I worked for a large life insurance company on the retirement planning team for a time. I worked for one of the big five banks on their retirement planning team, hoping to evolve and transition into their estates team, which didn't play out the way that I had wanted. And then for a period of time, I was a supervisor at one of the largest mortuary agencies in all of Canada.
Wow. And then from there, did you then transition, say, okay, I'm going to go help people on a larger scale, and I want to be an author? Or was
Yes,
there
yeah.
another step in between?
No, that was about it.
Yeah.
I had struggled for some time, Stuart, trying to find a way that I could share this type of message, which I think is critically important with a lot of people. And I had tried many things that didn't work. And then I realized that a book may be the best way to do it.
So when you take a look at your career, what would you say was the most important individual characteristic that you possess that helped keep moving you forward and open to new opportunities?
Well, my wife says that I'm incredibly stubborn, and I think she's right. But I guess it's really just a passion to share this type of message with people. I've seen all kinds of situations, Stuart, where no planning was done in regards to a death, and the fallout from that can create such negativity. Yet on the flip side, I've seen also situations where some planning was done, thoughtful planning in advance, and it makes such a massive difference for survivors.
Well, you've had a good career and you are helping other people. I think the most important thing is that, you're contributing in a way that it makes our world better. And isn't that a great legacy to have for the work that you're doing?
Thank you. I'm hoping it is making a difference, and the feedback that I'm getting in regards to my book is just that. It is inspiring people to get speaking with their family and pull their will out and read it, or get one.
Well, thank you for your time and giving us a little glimpse into your career path and your current job.
Thank you.